Hey guys, it's Amy here, and today I'm going to be doing my January wrap-up. So in January I read 7 books, which is more than I expected to, so that's really good. And today I'm just going to do a little mini review of each of the books before I do my typed review on Goodreads and my blog and things like that. I'll link them down below if you want to go and look at them. Okay, so the first book I read this month was Good Omens by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. I received this one for Christmas from my grandparents and was really excited to read it, so I picked it up first thing this year. This story has a lot of characters and follows a lot of stories, but it primarily follows an angel and a kind of fallen angel and their attempts to help save the world from Armageddon. So the Antichrist has been sent to Earth, and this fallen angel and the angel have kind of been told that they need to help the Antichrist along so that eventually it can cause Armageddon and it can be the end of the world. But the kind of crux of this is that the angels actually enjoy Earth and they like living here and they like being here. They've spent a long time here and they don't actually want Armageddon to happen. There's so much more to this story though. There's so many characters. I don't think I could even begin to describe efficiently what this book is about. But I definitely suggest it if you like a funny read. It's very comical. There were lots of witty statements in here about various things, and I liked the way it all came to an end. It was really funny, really good, and I really liked my first Terry Pratchett read. It was really fun. So I definitely will be picking up more by Terry Pratchett at some point, and this I gave 4 out of 5 stars. Next this month I read The Watcher in the Shadows by Carroll Ruiz Zafon, and I really loved this book. I really love the style of writing. I know it's translated because it's actually originally written in Spanish. I loved The Shadow of the Wind that I read also by him. Like The Shadow of the Wind, I think this one is actually aimed at younger people. It follows a young girl, and I think she's about 14 or 15. It follows the story of a young girl and her family, and they move house, and her mother gets a job working for a toy maker who lives in a mansion near where they live. This mansion is filled with lots of mechanical, beastly looking things, all that kind of move and are quite creepy, kind of like what's on the front here. And mysterious things start happening in and around this mansion, and awful things start happening to this girl and her family. Carroll Ruiz Zafon has a brilliant way of kind of spinning a story so that you are really gripped by it and really want to carry on reading it. I'd recommend this to anyone who hasn't read any Carroll Ruiz Zafon yet and fancies giving it a go and maybe doesn't want to tackle The Shadow of the Wind because that's quite a lengthy book. Also, if you're a younger person who likes kind of horror and kind of creepiness, then I think this one would be really good. I think if I read this when I was 15 or so, I would definitely have been quite freaked out by it. So that was read number 2. Okay, next this month I actually read something which was completely new to me, and it is Through the Woods by Emily Carroll. This is a graphic novel, and I've never read a graphic novel before. This was my first real experience of a graphic novel, and I really enjoyed it. The story was so creepy, the pictures were really, really creepy, and definitely not one to read at bedtime if you are easily scared, because I am, and I was somewhat freaked out by the pictures. I don't know if you can see that, but some of the pictures are just so haunting and weird and just really, really good. This book consists of 5 short stories. They all kind of link into the same creepy theme of death and scariness. So definitely one to maybe read around Halloween or give as a Halloween gift to someone if you give Halloween gifts. So again, this is another 4 out of 5 stars from me. Book number 4, I read Everything is Illuminated by Jonathan Safran Foer, and I really love this book. In fact, I think I put it in my Goodreads favourite. It's the story of a Jewish American guy who goes over to Ukraine to discover things about his history and his family's history, his grandfather in particular, who lived in Ukraine during the war, and how he managed to escape from the bombed city from which he lived. This story flicks viewpoints quite a bit. So you have Jonathan, the American Jewish guy who's discovering his family history. You also have Alex, who is his translator in Ukraine, who gives his viewpoint on everything that's happening. And then the actual history and what actually happened to his family, and it goes back in time and tells the story how it actually happened, and then his kind of reaction to it in the present time. This book was just fantastic. It had so many intense and special moments. The characters were brilliant. Alex, the translator, was so comical in the writing in his parts of the book. It's just hilarious. But Jonathan Safran Foer actually weighed it up really well with the comical side and the intense kind of sadness to the story as well, with all the different things that happened in this guy's history. It's just absolutely fantastic. I can't even describe how kind of clever and intricate the story is. And I mean, it's not a very long book, but it actually kind of really hit me by the end. I thought, wow, this is really, really something special, something unique that I've never read anything similar to. If you've read this book, then please let me know down below what you thought of it, because I actually read quite a few Goodreads reviews and lots of people don't like it, and lots of people found it really kind of confusing and jumbly and lots of stuff going on, but actually I really liked that. I liked the kind of confusion and the way it was written. It was fantastic. So I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars. So next this month I read a book on my iPad, and that was Hollow City by Ransom, and I really loved this book. I'm going to put it down because it's probably really shiny. Hollow City is the second part of the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children trilogy. I think there's going to be another one soon. This book carries on exactly where Miss Peregrine's Home finishes, so it's a continuation straight on the story. I love the characters just as much as I did in Miss Peregrine's, and I won't really go much into the plot, as if you haven't read the first one it will kind of spoil it for you. But in this book a lot more characters are introduced. It's a very adventurous story, and by the end there's a bit of a twist which was very exciting, and I didn't guess that it was going to happen at all, so it was really good. It was very much left on a cliffhanger, and I can't wait to read the third one whenever it comes out. I think possibly it is this year in September sometime. So another 4 out of 5 stars from me. Next this month I actually started feeling a bit nostalgic and fancied rereading one of my favourite childhood books, and that is The Bad Beginning by Lemony Snicket. This is the first in the series of unfortunate events. This follows the story of the 3 Baudelaire children who are orphaned at the very beginning of the book, and they're then sent to live with Count Olaf, who is this awful looking character on the front. Throughout the whole story it's basically him trying to take their fortune, so it's how they are trying to stop him doing that. It's a very short read and I read it very quickly. I could quite easily just sit down and read these books. They are so easy to read, and I love Lemony Snicket's way of writing. Really, really brilliant. This is a 5 out of 5 stars from me. Finally this month I read The Shock of the Fall by Nathan Filer. This won the Costa Book Awards last year and I couldn't wait to pick it up and read it. I got it for Christmas and it was fantastic. Definitely one of the best books I've read so far this year. I've put it in my favourites on Goodreads. This follows the story of a young man as he grows up, and we learn that as a child his brother died in a tragic accident. We don't really find out how he died until much later on in the story. We don't know what happened, and this follows the remaining brother and how he descends into schizophrenia and slowly kind of loses all grip on different things in his life, all surrounding the kind of tragedy that happened with his older brother when he was little. I've never read anything from the perspective of somebody suffering with schizophrenia, and this was really, really interesting. Nathan Filer I think is actually a psychologist or studies psychology, so definitely some really hard-hitting facts inside here as well. What kind of surprised me the most was actually I felt really connected to the main character of this book. I really loved the way his thoughts came out onto the page, and the way that it was all written was just really, really in tune with the way I think about things, which makes me sound like I have schizophrenia, but I assure you I don't. I just found it to be a really enlightening and informative story. I absolutely fell in love with it by the end. Definitely a 5 out of 5 stars from me. So those are all the books that I read in January. Let me know if you've read any of them and what you thought. If you'd like to share the books that you read in January with me, then let me know in the comments. As always, I will leave links to Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, everything down below. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, and I will see you soon. Bye! There's a murder on this train and Poirot is thankfully there to save the day and to solve the crime,